I'm doing this short piece at the request of the Nurture Africa Ugandan staff, whom I accompanied on a home-based voluntary counselling and testing session yesterday, which involves our Ugandan staff travelling within the communities in which we operate and testing people for HIV. I was accompanying them to capture the session through photograph and video, which is always a very difficult thing to do, considering the private nature of testing in itself for HIV, obviously with the stigma attached. Whilst there, I decided that I would go through the process of testing for HIV myself, for two reasons. Primarily the first one being that I wanted the people within the communities who are testing to try and understand that HIV is not just a virus that exists here in Uganda or in Africa, but it's a worldwide epidemic. And number two, for me personally, was that I wanted to try and understand, or at least relate in some small way, to the feeling of testing for HIV. My first task was achieved because staff told me immediately that members of the community who had come to test were very surprised to see a white person, or a Mzungu as we're known here, testing for HIV, and it offered the staff the opportunity to explain that HIV was a worldwide problem and not just something that existed here. I was called to test, and I carried through the whole process. So I registered, I sat down, I had my test carried out, and I was told that I had to wait for 15 minutes for the result. And during those 15 minutes I was very calm and relaxed and speaking with some of the locals. I was then called by one of our counsellors, one of Nurture Africa's counsellors, for my result to be revealed. And Margaret actually asked me, what will you do if your result is positive? And that, it literally, that question hit me like a bus. In that moment, knowing myself that 99.999% possibility was my result was going to be negative, but I immediately related that question to the people of Uganda here and around the world who test with a fear that they actually are HIV positive. It was something I found extremely difficult to deal with. I couldn't find an answer to Margaret's question. I think I babbled something about seeking treatment immediately, but it really got me thinking, and with my second objective in relating to those who do come to test, it certainly hit home for me, just what a difficulty it is for somebody to step up and test for HIV in the first place, and then obviously if they get a positive result, as plenty of people do when we're out testing in the communities, that the difficulty that can be involved in having to deal with that. It knocked me for absolute six, that question, even when Margaret revealed that my test was negative, as I absolutely wholly expected it to be. I couldn't help but still think of those people who do come and their test is revealed as positive. For the first time, really, although I've been coming here for 9 years now, it was the first time where it really struck a chord with me of how brave these people are to come out, despite the fact that they may already fear that they are HIV positive, that they're coming to get this result, and although the help is there, that can assist them to maintain their health level or get better, everything else that comes with that in relation to stigma and losing family, losing friends, the possibilities of partners or husbands or wives, how you deal with that situation, the psychological scars that leaves behind. It really brought all of those questions to the fore for me, not for me personally, but for the people who are coming out to test. I understand the great work that Nurture Africa is doing here in Uganda, but in that instance, that really reinforced that for me, that here is a community-based organisation testing thousands of people every year for HIV, and those who are positive do have the opportunity to come here and access their treatment and maintain or improve their health and continue at good health levels into the future, as long as they take good care of themselves and that they are responsible. The work that the guys do here, from with treatment and care to the counsellors, I've found a new level of respect for that literally through this process. And literally for the last 24 hours, it's been at the forefront of my mind constantly, and I think the fact that somehow I could relate to what they were going through, the stigma, is something that has really come strongly for me, in that that fear, what am I going to do, how am I going to deal with this? And I think in the fight against HIV, that is our biggest challenge, breaking down that stigma. It is very much your everyday working class person here who's in danger, and also the fact that back in Europe and at home in Ireland, that the epidemic is actually that numbers are increasing is very worrying. And I left with the conclusion that I'm drawing is that our biggest problem with HIV, apart from the education, is the stigma attached with it. And I think the sooner we break down that stigma, the sooner we'll achieve our goal of eradicating the virus.